You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. LSU had their junior day over the weekend. Big recruiting weekend. Bryce Underwood, the number one player in the country, was here. He was did an interview with the D Zone. Muse, what the hell is the D Zone?
Brother, I have no idea.
Thank God I'm not doing a show with T-Bob, because if T-Bob saw the D Zone, you know exactly where this would deteriorate.
I do. It's a blog / like sports page out of Detroit.
Well, we're all about attribution, so the D Zone credited here with this Bryce Underwood interview, his latest visit to LSU.
Oh, definitely. I enjoyed it a lot. Got to enjoy a lot of the top players around the country, just, recruiting them as well as me being there. So it was fun.
Bryce, not a man of many words, was also asked by the D Zone what he and the 25 class want to build here with the number one class in the country.
I say endless work and also building a brotherhood, just being the best us we can be as well. So, Bryce
Underwood, we all hope. Paulie, you can keep throwing up those graphics, brother, but the cuts are like 4 seconds. By the time you get the graphic up, it's going to be over. Maybe just go back screen with it or something. Here was one more from Bryce Underwood on what Jaden Daniels winning a Heisman means for him.
Yeah, they develop quarterbacks pretty well, and, they just get people where they want to be at. So,
Bryce Underwood on the D Zone. But most importantly, I don't care if that guy gives you 5-second or 5-minute answers. He's a great player. He's committed to LSU. His family has accompanied him on many visits. They're all in, and it's a phenomenal job by Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly getting that done as sort of the crown jewel of this amazing class. A class which added another piece over the weekend. 4-star linebacker Charles Ross out of the Houston area committed to LSU. I loved this quote and I believe this was from On3. It was. Charles Ross talked about Blake Baker. As soon as Blake Baker got the LSU job, offered him and prioritized him, Ross, who's now committed to LSU, said, quote, "Coach Baker has been an inspiration. We communicate on a regular basis. Our relationship has grown from him being a recruiter to him becoming a mentor to me." Yeah, and that's Charles Ross talking about Blake Baker. Last week when Shea was here, he told us watch out for a couple possible commits coming out of the junior day. He mentioned James Simon, the running back out of Calvary Baptist. He mentioned Micah DeBose, the offensive lineman out of the Mobile area. And they ultimately pop a linebacker. It's not to say they won't get those other guys as well, but they pop a linebacker. If you look at Charles Ross, the profile, just when you look at like the rankings and all that stuff, that's probably not the thing that's going to pop the most or be most impressive. He is a 4-star out of the Houston area, and he's ranked or rated, I should say, by On3 as the number 338 overall prospect in the country. Forgive me, that's in the composite. On3 has him as the 263rd best prospect in the country, the 27th linebacker in the country. So, yeah, when you're talking about a recruiting class that's got all these guys in it that are number one at their position and they're 5 stars, it may be tough to get super excited about a player that's ranked outside of the top 250. But that's one of those instances where I would always caution you not to marry yourself to the star ranking, and then start to look at the player and, more importantly, the position, and if you trust the coach's evaluation at that position. For example, when it comes to LSU offering and signing offensive linemen, they have the benefit of the doubt, just carte blanche, because of Brian Kelly's success at recruiting and identifying offensive lineman development and getting them to the next level. Whenever LSU signs an offensive lineman, if Brian Kelly says he's worth offering, I'm on board. Whatever. I'm good. Linebacker is interesting because Blake Baker has a history at each of his last 4 stops at developing that position. Jalen Ferguson, Blake Baker, you might remember, was at Louisiana Tech, and Jalen Ferguson, who LSU played Tech that year, Ferguson led the country in sacks. That was Blake Baker's defense. At Miami, he had Michael Pinckney and Shaq Quarterman. While he was at Miami, both became first-team All-ACC linebackers. We talked about, of course, Damone Clark in his year at LSU. And then at Missouri, Tyron Hopper, who was first-team All-SEC this past year as well. So Blake Baker's had that history of developing linebackers. So I kind of look and go, okay, if Blake Baker's sold on Charles Ross, I don't care that he's not a 5-star number 1 linebacker in the country. He's a kid from Houston, which is a hot recruiting bed for LSU. They identified him, they made him a priority, and they popped the commitment. So check, check, check. And when you look at the linebacker position, it's going to be so fascinating to watch this play out because, oddly, LSU has numbers at linebacker. What they don't really have is great experience in depth. So for 2024, you've got Greg Penn coming back, and obviously Harold Perkins is moving back inside, and you've got Whit Weeks, who everybody's very excited about, and you've still got West Weeks as well. So those are like your top 4. Christian Braithwaite was a freshman this past season. And then you've got 3 freshmen coming in with Tylen Singleton, who was the second highest rated prospect in this class for LSU, Kalaj Cobbins out of Destrehan, Devon Keys as well. So you're adding 3 freshman linebackers. So you think of it, after your first 4 guys, and one of those is West Weeks, who hasn't played a ton, and Perkins, who we're still not sure if he can be an inside backer. After that, you've got Braithwaite, Singleton, Cobbins, Keys. That's 4 guys, but that don't have any experience. So after this season, when you're likely losing Penn and Perkins, it's going to come down to, you'll have West Weeks and Whit Weeks back, and then a whole bunch of really young bodies there. So which of the guys I just mentioned, Braithwaite, Singleton, Cobbins, Keys, which of those develop in 2024 to feel like they can win a starting job in 2025? Or are you going into the transfer portal to find a starting caliber linebacker for the 2025 season to give some of these young guys even more time to grow and develop, which sounds like a probable situation. But it's going to be fascinating to watch this year to see of those young guys, all those bodies, not that dissimilar from the cornerback room. Like you have a ton of numbers. It's just who is going to emerge as a starter and key contributor. You're looking at the same thing at linebacker, and 4-star Charles Ross will join that room for 2025. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.